Gotta do the camera test. You snorting into the microphone. Hi everybody, welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Heather. I'm also known as Rycrafty. That's the channel name here on YouTube and my Instagram handle. And today we're going to go through everything I made in 2022. And I've decided to put the sewing and the knitting in this one video together. There'll be timestamps and links to all the patterns and fabrics, if I can, down below in the description. So if you like this, you like more content like this, make sure to subscribe, like, comment, etc. Let me know what you think about what I made. It's not a whole lot. I definitely had plans to make a lot more than I did last year, and I certainly have plans for 2023 to make a lot more than I made last year. Totals, I sewed 15 things, and I'm including 2 fails in there that we'll get to and I'll talk about, but I can't show you because they took a lot of time. Like, they were largish projects. So 15 sewing things, 6 knitting things, not bad. I mean, considered to how much I used to knit, not a lot, but considering I knit nothing in 2021, it was fun to put the list together because I don't keep a list throughout the year, or I haven't. This year I'm going to try. But yeah, I put together this list by scrolling through phone photos, Instagram, looked at a couple of the old YouTube videos. Garment number 1. I almost forgot. I was just looking at my what I made in 2021 video, and I mentioned a Brigitte Boatneck top that I had made twice in 2021, one out of a navy blue stripe, one with a cream and green stripe. And seeing that reminded me that I have this Brigitte top, which I did not mention in that video, and I know is newish. Like, I didn't make this 5 years ago, so I must have made this in 2022, but I took no photos of it. So this is another boatneck top, which I really enjoy that pattern. I've made it 3 times now. This one, I used the pattern pieces that I had already cut out, but I was feeling insecure about my size and whether I had changed. But for some reason I still use those same pattern pieces because they were already printed and cut out. So I sewed this with a smaller seam allowance than suggested, and it actually turned out like a little big. The other 2 are quite fitted, and this has a fair amount of room. It's also not the stretchiest. It's got a nice pattern on it. I bought so much of this jersey whenever I bought it, which was a very long time ago, because I feel like it's sort of a neat kind of Lord of the Rings-ish pattern. It reminds me of, I don't know, the Shire or maybe elves. Trees and mountains and little scribbles. And I bought this, can't remember the name of the shop anymore, and I ordered like 5 meters of this. It was an American shop, so it was probably yards. So I ordered like 5 yards of this at the time because I wanted to make everything out of it. And I have a cowl neck shirt that I made a long time ago, and now this. And now, it's going to be my test jersey if I ever want to do a muslin of something that I'm going to make in jersey. But yeah, so this is number 1. I have no idea at what point in the year I made it. I forgot I had it until a couple minutes ago. So maybe I should try and wear it more. Okay, next top. This is the Sunday Everyday sweater from Ensemble Patterns. I have another one. I have a mustard yellow one that I really love. And then I saw this sweatshirt fabric at Fabricland, and I just did not know what was going on. Like, what is that animal? What are the 10 weird blotches? It looks like a llama, but it has a tail that stands up and a bird sitting on it. So maybe it's a tiger that looks like a llama. Who knows? It was so weird I had to buy it. And then I made it into this big sweatshirty top. I did the same version that I did in my mustard yellow one, which was in last year's roundup. This was the first thing I made in 2022. I think I made this like New Year's Day or January 2nd or something. So it's got the split hem. You know, it's not split, it's like dropped. The back hem is lower than the front. There's pockets. It's very big. What I was interested in when I made this was the yellow one I made is very drapey. I think there's bamboo in that sweatshirt or some sweatshirt fabric. And like the neckline's super stretched out. So what I did in this one is I used some twill tape, which I bought on Etsy a long time ago. It's got little like coffee cups. It came in a set with some teacups as well, so Now it's just the twill tape I use for inside stuff like this that needs it. The other one I made the mistake of using the same sweatshirting fabric, so it just like flash dances off my shoulder, which is fine. But I wanted to try it in something sturdier, so this is a much sturdier knit. You can see that it's some sort of double knit. All the colors are together, just like a melange there. But again, I love it. It's great for lounging around the house. If I ever do wear it out and people see it, they're like, "What is on your shirt?" And I say, "I don't know. What do you think is on my shirt?" Ensemble Patterns Sunday Everyday Sweater in some random, very random Fabricland sweatshirting fabric. And yes, I have had this H for Heather Hook since I was a baby. Okay, the next pattern was so nice, I made it twice. This is some sort of poly, it's very drapey, it's polyester. It's from Fabricland. And I made this top, which is it's the Friday Pattern Company Sagebrush top. I made this as a test because I had some viscose that I liked a lot more that I wanted to make something out of, but I didn't want to ruin it because I only had a little bit. And so I decided to make something to test the pattern out of this, because while I liked it, it wasn't as nice as the other stuff. I never made the second one. I made a second one, but I did not make it out of the other fabric. But yeah, so this has elasticated sleeves. It's got this nice little ruffle here. I French seamed everything in this one because it was a very frayy fabric, like you cut into it and it was just threads everywhere. And I was very confused for a long time about how to sew the ruffle with the French seam. It just did not compute in my brain. Turns out it was actually very simple and I really overthought it. But yeah, so there's a little tie at the back. I think one of the things that I remember from making this is I had much less fabric than the pattern said to have. From what I remember, because this pattern has no direction, it's just evenly spaced dots. I think I ended up cutting the sleeves on the cross grain because I couldn't fit them up and down the fabric. I think I cut them crossways. I don't think I took any width out of the sleeve, so it is very puffed. So you don't end up looking like you've got a huge sleeve up to here because the drape just sort of drapes down. Makes me feel kind of clowny, but hasn't stopped me wearing it. The other change I made when I was cutting out, again because of lack of fabric, these are supposed to be bias ties. This is not a bias tie, this is just a rectangle. I definitely found other YouTube videos of other people cutting out this top out of much less fabric than called for, by maybe taking an inch out of the giant sleeve and then cutting them on the cross grain and then not doing the bias. Like that had been done before. I had seen other people do it. But yeah, so I made this. And then a few months later, I made this. So this is Liberty of London fabric. I think it's called Q for the Zoo. Yeah, so this is the same Friday Pattern Company Sagebrush top. Made this time, instead of the very drapey poly, this is in a cotton lawn. It's got all these tiny little animals. A nice little ruffle. And I have also enjoyed wearing this. It is also kind of clowny. But I guess that's just who I am. Yeah, again, I think for this one, because I knew the cotton lawn was going to be much stiffer than the dot, I did take a chunk out of the sleeve. I think I maybe took 1 inch out of the center of the sleeve, just so I wasn't quite so poofed. It is still pretty poofy. Like, it's definitely a puffed sleeve when I'm wearing it, so I'm glad I took that out because it would have been even more puffed beforehand. But yeah, I enjoy these. I enjoy these tops. I've worn them both to work a lot. They're fun. Next top. This is hard to show on the hanger because it's a wrap top and it's got these huge ties. But anyway, this is the Sew Over It Ravello top. The pattern is in a ebook they put out that I bought last summer with the goal of making everything in it because I just loved it all. So in the ebook, this is a sort of cropped right to the waist length wrap top, but there's this length, there's a top that has a peplum, and then there's also a dress version. And I made it in this linen, wonderful color from Blackbird Fabrics that I actually didn't buy much of. I'll check my receipts and put in the description how much of this green I had. And obviously I was able to get the crop version out of it. I don't remember how much I have spare. how much scraps. I don't think it was a huge amount. But I bought this linen with the plan of, what's the word, color blocking a dress. So I didn't buy much of the green because this was just going to be one of the color blocks. But then I decided not to make that dress and make all that linen into other stuff. And luckily I found this pattern that I was able to use my small amount of linen with. It's really nice. I do iron it, or iron bits of it, like these sleeve turn-up cuffs. And these, I did not iron these this time. Sometimes after a wash they get super crinkly, and I know linen is meant to look relaxed and lived in, and like you're going to have wrinkles in linen, but I find with ties like this can get really scrunch after going in the washing machine and the dryer. I have another garment with ties made out of linen that we're going to see that did get ironed this morning. But yeah, I really like it. I think I cut out a 12. Next time maybe I'll cut out a 14. Sometimes I wish I could wrap it just a little bit tighter, and the shorter of the ties feels very short when I tie it at my waist. Like there's just the little stub of it. Once I've tied it in a knot that's not going to come undone, it's just that tie seems a little short. I worn it to work. I've worn it with a linen skirt I made a long time ago. But yeah, I really enjoy it. I might make a second one. If I do make the same size, I think I'm just going to extend, I'm just going to make the shorter wrap tie slightly longer, like maybe just 10 centimeters or something. This top is also from the Sew Over It Getaway ebook. It's actually the top of a dress, and I wanted to do a muslin of the dress, or a muslin of the top, before I made it out of some nicer fabric that I have. So I thought, well, I'll make the top, we'll make it a crop top. And I thought, maybe I'll wear it, probably won't. I haven't, just because it doesn't fit quite how I want it to. There's the shirt back panel, which is always fun to do and helps with fitting. But even so, I found it hard to get the pieces together, and then when I did, it was still much too big. I think maybe I didn't check the gauge of the shirring panel. I think I cut out what they said and then I shirred it like they said, and I didn't check to see if it actually reduced as much as it should. But even so, like, it's all stretchy, so it's still going to stretch out to that largest size. I don't know. It just didn't fit quite like I wanted. I did do these scrunchy straps like I've been seeing everywhere online. So there's elastic in here. It doesn't stretch for fit, but it just sort of gives body to the inside of the strap. And then you sew a tube that is much longer, run the elastic through it, and then it all scrunches up. So it was fun. It mostly fits. I don't think I ever wore it. Not certain if I'm going to make the dress, because at this point I've forgotten what changes I made to this bodice. And the whole point of making this bodice was to make sure the dress would fit, and now I can't remember. I know I changed some things, but I don't remember what. So I'm either going to have to do it again or pick a different pattern to use as my other fabric. Okay, next category, we're done tops, and now we're doing one pieces, which I guess also includes dresses, but first we're going to start with the onesies that are not dresses. So this is legged onesies. This has a whole video on the channel, so I won't talk too much about it, but these are my amazing Woodland onesie all-in-one pajamas slash loungewear. I had a lot of fun making these. Crazy Fabricland woodland print fabric, which I have a lot of because I guess I overestimated how tall I am or how much fabric you need to entirely cover an adult human. Would definitely make these again. Might consider making these in a larger size, or at least sizing up on the cuffs, because the woodland fabric is very stretchy. It's like a microfleece. This is French terry that I made some sweatpants out of in 2021. This was scraps from that 2021 project. It's not as stretchy as this part. I can't push up my sleeves. But yeah, I'll link the Woodland onesie video down below. I love it. I don't wear it very often because my apartment is quite warm, and this is fleece, so it's sweaty making. But when it does get cold enough for it to be cold in my apartment, love it. Second onesie pattern, one piece pattern, is possibly my favorite thing I made all last year. This is the Zadie Jumpsuit. This is going to be much easier to show when I'm actually wearing it, but I love it. It's short sleeved, It's like grown on sleeve. Nice wide-legged pants. And it's amazing. I wore it so much after I finished it last year. So the Zadie Jumpsuit is by Paper Theory Patterns. I love it. I bought fabric last summer to make a second one, which I haven't done yet, but I will. I'm definitely making that because I wore this so much. I wore it to work. I wore it just to hang out. I wore it to the Calgary Stampede. You can wear it anywhere. There's pockets. So this fabric is a very, very lightweight denim that I bought from Blackbird Fabrics. I think specifically for this, like this was planned. And I made sure I finished it in time so I could take it on my trip to Calgary to see friends. I used to live there, and then the time I ended up planning my trip just happened to be the Stampede. So I did that, and where better to wear full denim than cowboy heaven. But yeah, it's really great. I did notice before I put it away for the summer, or after the end of the summer, that I obviously didn't quite catch the edge of the fabric in the binding enough there. So I think I'm going to unpick that because this needs to be worn. This little thing should not stop me wearing it. I don't have a serger or an overlock or anything, so I did zigzag stitch the inside seams just because it's denim, so it frays. Love it, love it, love it. I'm definitely making more. The only problem is the age-old jumpsuit problem, is that you basically have to get naked to go to the bathroom. But it's worth it to look this cool when you're at work and you're wearing a onesie. You're so comfy. It's like wearing a dress, only your skirt isn't going to flip up, which is even more amazing. Yeah, I found the pattern went together really easily. I loved making it. Everything matches up so nicely. And then you've got the nice little spot where you put the wrap tie through. Love it. 100% making another one. Got the fabric already. May make 2 this year. Who knows? Maybe I will be jumpsuits only this year. Okay, continuing on the one-piece dressing theme. Oh, I need to gather my stuff. Okay, so the first dress I made last year is a maxi dress. This is, again, linen that I bought from Blackbird Fabrics. I think I was going to make pants with it, but then it was a little bluer than I thought. I thought it was going to be grayer, even though I'm pretty sure it was listed as a blue on the website. Just the photo looked more gray to me than blue. And I don't know, I just decided I didn't want to make pants in the end. And I made this because I was going on a boat cruise on the lake in the summer, which I'd never done before. It was tons of fun, but for events like that, I always find myself saying, well, I have to make a dress. I have to make something to wear. And so this is the thing I made to wear. It's got these waist ties. So there's basically just a channel sewn across the front with a rectangle of fabric. And then you slide this through, same on the back, and then you tie them either side. It's a BurdaStyle pattern. So I bought it off the Burda website. There's a reason that I shouldn't browse the Burda website because I love their patterns, but putting them together is such a pain. I'm okay with the printing out on your home printer and then tiling everything together. I actually like that part. I'm fine with that. What I hate about those Burda patterns is you have to add your own seam allowance. Why? If you're making the pattern, just make it 2 centimeters bigger and then we all have a seam allowance. Thank you. But yeah, I hate that adding the seam allowance part. I didn't think this would be so terrible though, because it's more rectangles than previous patterns I've tried to make off of Burda, so it was annoying, but I survived, and I made this amazing like Greek goddessy dress. Those BurdaStyle patterns are also not the most verbose in their instructions, so I was looking at a bunch of tutorials online to figure out exactly how they wanted me to do the facing, because the neckline is faced. Let's get rid of that. So there's this all-in-one facing, and so it does look very nice in the end, but I did not understand while I was doing it how it was going to happen and then how I was going to be able to pull it through itself and it would all be finished. Did not understand that. It closes at the back with a button. I just pulled one out of my crazy vintage button jar. Very cute. Really enjoyed it, and it was very nice to wear on a boat on the lake in the middle of the summer. That BurdaStyle pattern, Burda must be drafted for extremely tall people because I cut so much off the bottom of that dress. This one is another very fun summer dress. And just before I came to do this video, I watched a little bit of my last year's my What Did I Make in 2021 video, and I made a shirt out of this gray microstripe, and I made a different shirt out of this pink microstripe. And somehow I had bought so much of this, I think I didn't realize how wide the fabric was. It's fabric from Blackbird, jersey fabric. And yeah, much wider than I thought, or I just didn't think about how much I was ordering when I ordered it. So I had so much left over after making just 2 shirts. And I sat around trying to figure out what to do with it. I decided I wanted to use it together. So this is the Sallie Dress from Closet Core Patterns. It can be a dress or a jumpsuit. I have made the jumpsuit. I made that in 2021 in a black and white stripe. This is the dress, and I did it half and half, which was a lot of fun. It's got side slits, actually same type of side slits that the gray or the blue dress has. But yeah, lots of fun to make this. There was a lot of thinking twice, 3 times, 4 times before cutting, because I obviously had enough to make this, but I didn't have a lot left over. There wasn't going to be a lot of leftovers, so I couldn't make a mistake. And so there was a lot of thinking, and I drew myself a little diagram of like, okay, if we want the left side to be the pink, then I need the left front to be this way. When you're cutting it out of the same fabric, your fabric is just doubled, and you cut it out, and you have a left and a right. But I needed, like, this needed to be the left front, but then the back needed to be the left back, not the right back. Anyway, there's a lot of thinking. It all worked out. I love it. Great summer dress. It's got the cute little tie-up straps, which I haven't put any stitches in yet, but I think I'm going to, just so they stay. Like, I'll keep the ties, but they'll be more stationary, so you won't be able to undo them. They'll just be the right length all the time. There's a little elastic waist here to bring it in. It's just a great casual, cool, really hot day type of dress. Don't want to stretch those straps out, so I always hang it that way. This dress, I had an occasion to go to, and I wanted to make a dress. I wanted it to be gorgeous, and I wanted to feel amazing in it, because this was so last minute. I think I had a week. I had a couple weeks to muslin this pattern and then make the real dress, because I saw Tom Jones live in concert from the front row. High point of my life. Yes, I'm a Tom Jones fan. Yes, he is over 80, but he can still sing. It was amazing. And I wanted to wear something I made myself to that concert, because I was going to be like front row. I heard about the concert like 2 weeks before it happened, and there was a front row ticket available, and what I paid for it will remain between me and my visa, but it was so worth it. So this actually includes one of the fails that I can put some pictures in, because it was trashed. I had this owl print fabric that I bought ages ago. I've been carrying around for a long time. In the end, it was the perfect fabric to make a muslin before I made it out of this fabric, which is from Fabricland. Again, it's just a poly, but I love it. It's colorful. I'm not normally a black clothes person because I like colors, and I was wondering if this was going to be too much black for me. I mean, it has the whole rainbow on it, but I was worried it was going to be too much black, but I'm so happy I went for it. The pattern is a McCalls pattern. I did not write down what number it was, but it will be in the description, so make sure you have a look. But yeah, it's a McCalls pattern. I cut out one size in the owl print. It was a too small size, so then I cut out the next size up when I made my actual one. I lined it. So this is like satiny lining. The lining also bought at, all this was bought at Fabricland. Lining fabric was so much more expensive than the outside fabric, which was weird, but the outside fabric was super cheap. This dress, it's got a great ruffle. You can see there's a seam here, and then this gorgeous ruffle, which I did in the same fabric, but I did the sleeve ruffles in this like mesh fabric, lace fabric, and oh yeah, you can just see it's sparkly. There's like sparkles in it. Loved it. There are some issues, and I've only worn it once since then. Really shifty fabric. Both this and the lining, really shifty fabric. So I interfaced the button band with interfacing. No, it wasn't interfacing, it was adhesive. That was the problem. I stuck 2 layers together, I think. Anyway, whatever I did with what I have on hand. Like, it's a little crackly. It's a little stiffer than it should be for such a drapey dress. But I also couldn't imagine making the button band and not having something to stiffen it a little, because it's just so like float away. The only other thing, I made it as is and then tried it on without the button band, and I had to raise the shoulders, so I like pinched a chunk out of the shoulder because it was too low and too big. But if I did that, it raised everything up. Like, there's a nice little bust gathering here. Raised it all up to the right point, like just by doing that to the shoulder. So I sewed that, and I was like, great, it fits. Let's sew this button band on. The button band has a left and a right, and then a little back center piece. And I sewed them all together, and I could not, for the life of me, get it to fit. It was a little confusing with these mirrored left and right pieces, which one was meant to be sewn to which end of the little U shape at the back of the neck. I'm not always the best at like visualizing that stuff in my mind, of like, okay, you do it that way and then you sew it, but it's wrong sides together and then you flip it. Confuses me. So I think I took it apart a couple times trying to get them on the right side, and then it never fit. It did not fit. I thought the pattern was terrible. I was like, McCalls, what are you doing? What's your problem? This does not fit. It does not fit. Blah, blah. I was so angry at it. I eventually got it to fit. I was like, I'm just going to have to cut a chunk out of this neckband to get it to fit, because the seams aren't lining up. Like, where are they supposed to line up? It took me so long to remember that the like 2 inches I cut out of each shoulder, like when I re-sewed that shoulder seam, would have taken 2 inches out of each side of the neckband. So of course my neckband didn't fit because I didn't change it after changing the shoulder seam. Anyway, in the end, it worked. Because of the like crispiness of this neckband, it does stand out a little from my chest, but with some judicious like adjusting of the dress and wearing exactly the right bra, it works. I do still have a bunch of the fabric left, both the black and the pattern. If I feel really confident one day, I might try re-sewing the button band without the interfacing, or maybe I'll just get some softer interfacing and try it again, but maybe I'm picking a whole heck of a lot of stuff. So I don't know how much I'm going to rewear this until I can figure out what to do with this thing, but it's the dress I saw Tom Jones in, so it's not going anywhere. I almost forgot to show you my other favorite thing about this dress was, so it's got this big ruffle, or not really ruffle, but like flounce on the bottom in this skinny fabric. And then, so with the lining, I just sewed the 2 pieces together like they were the same in these parts of the dress. But when it came to the flounce, I wanted the fabrics to be separate. So here's the lining flounce. Here's the outside fabric flounce. I used my rolled hem foot on my machine for the first time, and it was amazing because there is so much flounce. And this fabric wasn't going to iron, it was just going to melt. So I couldn't even like iron it up and then sew it. So I used my rolled hem foot for the first time. It was amazing. I even got the rolled hem foot to work on the lace, which was fun. But yeah, that's one of my favorite things about this dress, was using that foot, and it made that hemming stuff so much easier. I actually have a bunch of this lace left that I keep thinking about making like a boxy woven pattern top out of, and then I can wear it over like a tank top or something. Yeah, last sewn object that I can actually show you, because I tried to make this brown dress out of some jersey I've had for a long time, double face jersey. Did not work. I was sewing it from a vintage pattern. I decided to make it in this double face knit, which the pattern wasn't written for, but I thought I could do it. And it did not work out. It was huge. It was very brown. I don't even know why I had beige brown fabric in my stash, but maybe I'll try making that pattern again sometime out of fabric that it's meant for and fabric that I like, because I got as far as I got with that brown dress, tried it on, and I was like, it's so brown. apart from not fitting, it's just so brown. No thank you. So there's that. And then the last item, these shorts. So last year I made the plateau joggers from Closet Core and also the sweatshirt that also came with it, Mile End. I made the plateau joggers out of pink French terry, made the sweatshirt out of yellow French terry, had a bunch of leftovers, and then I'd just had such success with my dress that was half and half, I decided to make shorts. When I first bought the pattern, I was like, why would you want sweatpant shorts? Why? I didn't understand it, but then I made these and I understand it. These are great for summertime, lounging around the house. It's really hot. If I have to go walk the dog, I just want comfy shorts to put on. Yes, I walk around the neighborhood wearing these, walking my funny little dog. And I love it. They're so comfy. I didn't even hem them. So I did that on purpose. I just wanted it to roll at the bottom. But yeah, I loved it. I used up some more scraps. So now I've used this pink stuff in sweatpants, half of these shorts, and then the cuffs of that Woodland onesie. And yeah, these got a lot of wear last summer. They said great for a morning dog walk or just lying on the couch trying to avoid the heat. Oh, you know, you want attention. I'm talking to someone who's not you. I'm so sorry. Okay, so now we're at the knitting portion of the agenda. Knitting projects finished in 2022. This sweater, which is the August Sky sweater by Maria Olsen. This sweater has its own video on the channel, so I'll link that below. I won't talk too much about it. Basically, I started knitting this many years ago, finally finished it in the beginning of 2022. There was a lot of drama because I only had 2 skeins of sock yarn, and one had much more black in it than the other one, and I hadn't alternated skeins. There was much ripping back and redoing sleeves, so I wouldn't have one really dark sleeve and one really light sleeve. Really like it. Worn it a couple times. A little small. Especially as I was trying to make an adult size sweater out of 2 skeins of sock yarn. But I have worn it. I like it. I'm hoping to wear it more. And have a look at the other video if you want to see more about this project. I finished 2 pairs of socks in 2022. Okay, first, here's proof that each of these has a second sock. Now we're going to put those over here. First pair of socks I finished was this. So this is a pair of scrappy socks I made out of, this is teeny tiny leftovers from my advent calendar blanket. I sorted them all out. I sorted them all out into like similar amounts remaining and similar colors, and then made 2 magic balls where you knot the little lengths of yarn together. And so I used those 2 magic balls for the cuffs. This is some random yarn I had. Oh yeah, this was also used in the blanket. These were some of the corners in that blanket. And then, so I made this much. I think I started one of these socks at the beginning of 2020. Like, I think I got this far. It's really, like, I knit a whole cuff in a couple nights because I was having so much fun with the colors. And then I burnt my arm. And I couldn't knit because it aggravated my arm. And then 2020 happened. And eventually I did get back to them at some time, and I thought, well, I went crazy here, so I'll use this plain navy blue yarn for the rest of the sock. Got really bored. And then realized I'm doing crazy scrappy socks, I can do what I want. And switched yarn to this neat sort of, this is tweedy, this isn't dirt. This actually has tweedy flax in it. So I made this crazy pair of socks over the course of a couple years. It was like at least 18 months in there of not touching them at all. And now I have 2 fun, crazy socks. A lot of fun, and this is all scraps I had in my stash. This is scrap from a pair of fingerless mitts, colorwork mitts that I made. These I made a previous pair of socks out of. The rest of it's from the blanket. So that was lots of fun. This is a pair of socks that I started at the beginning of 2021 because I wanted to get back into knitting. So these didn't get finished until 2022, but again, it's great to have another pair of socks in the drawer. But yeah, this is just a opal colorway, I think. This is one of the little Prince colorways. I'll link it in the description below. Everything's on my Ravelry projects page, but I know Ravelry is not accessible to everybody, so I'll also put all the details in the description below. I also made, I don't have these to show you, but I made a little baby sweater using the Flax pattern by Tin Can Knits, and then just a little basic baby hat pattern that I think I've made so many of them now. I just cast on 100 stitches and just go. And then I always like to do the little like I-cord at the top of the baby hat and tie a little knot in it, because just, I don't know, it's just so cute. And I made so many of those baby hats for people, but I made this flax sweater and the little basic baby hat out of the same sock yarn for one of my coworkers who went on mat leave in November. So it was great to knit those. I find baby knits so satisfying because you can knit a whole sweater, but it's only this big. Okay, last item is this brown cabled hat. Let's get a close-up of the cabley goodness. This is the beeswax hat pattern. Okay, so this is bison yarn. It's brown, but it's got these like rainbow tweed flecks in it. I think I bought this when I used to live in Alberta. Montana was much closer than it is now, and my ex and I, we did like a little road trip vacation down to Montana, and I bought some yarn in Bozeman. That was my souvenir of the trip. I think that was 2015. I started knitting this yarn into a hat in 2016, the beeswax pattern, and it's very well written. Like, you do the ribbing, and then there's a little chart where you start the cables and the ribbing, and then there's the body chart that you do. You do that once because it's quite big, and then there's a chart for the top with decreases. So I did it as written, and it never quite fit. I have a pretty big head. It just wanted to like slide itself up. And I did have some yarn left over, but not a lot. But I just never wore it, even though I really liked the yarn. It was super warm. I liked the pattern, but it just didn't want to stay on my head. So finally, at the end of 2022, I thought, you know what? I'm going to fix that. So I found the little ball of extra yarn, grabbed the hat, pulled it out. I figured out I didn't want to add a whole other repeat of the giant body pattern because that would make it very big. I didn't think I had enough yarn, but I figured out a chunk of the body pattern that I could repeat on top of what I had already done. I've completely lost track of what is new and what is old knitting on this. But yeah, I ripped out the top and the decreases into some of the body pattern to get to the part where I could start again, did another chunk, redid the top, had almost no yarn left, and now it fits. It's a little baggy on top, but that's fine. I guess this is the last thing I'm showing you. I saved this till last so I can actually take the clip out of my hair and put this on for you, because I don't have to worry about my hair in the rest of the videos. But yeah, here you can see there's like extra here, but because there's that extra, it's not trying to like slide itself up off my head anymore. I really like it. It's great for winter. I did this must have been the end of November, the beginning of December was when I made the change, and I've worn it a bunch since then. Okay, I just want to say thank you to everybody for watching through everything I've made in the whole year. 15 total sewing projects if you include the 2 dresses that I couldn't show you. So 13 successful sewing projects, 6 knitting projects, I would say all very successful. Some of which had been started years before, some of which I started and finished in this year. I am really happy with what I made, like a lot of it. Like I always point out the things that could be improved, but I made wearable garments that I wore out and I wore 2 places. I think that's a success and they fit me. I am hoping for more this year just because I enjoy crafting so much, and I feel like there were a few months where I did no crafting and I was just, I don't know what I was doing. Just lying on the couch watching TV without my hands doing anything. But yeah, I'm really happy with what I made. I'm hoping to top it this year, maybe make a few more things. Hopefully they're all good, successful things, like a lot of what I made this year. Actually, I'm quite happy with that. There's a couple like complete tossed in the garbage fails, but the rest I really like, and I wear. Like some things I wear a lot, like that Zadie I wore so much. But yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, it really helps. We'll see you next time, hopefully with some 2023 makes.